As an ADHD, have you ever felt like you're constantly falling short of society's expectations? Like no matter how hard you try, you just can't measure up. If so, then you're not alone. Many of us ADHDs grapple with these feelings daily. This struggle doesn't just affect our self-image, it spills over into every aspect of our lives, especially romantic relationships. This persistent feeling of inadequacy can create friction and frustration, and this makes it really hard to connect with our partners. But there is a path to rebuilding your confidence and transforming your relationships. So in this video, we're going to explore the impact of ADHD on self-esteem, the impact that it has on relationships, and most importantly, what we can do about it. So let's talk about this neurotypical trap. As ADHDers, we often get caught in a world that's designed for neurotypical brains. This mismatch creates a constant struggle to meet expectations that feel like they're always just out of reach. From a young age, as ADHDers, we're bombarded with messages about how we should behave, how we should learn, how we should function. But these standards are based on neurotypical norms that don't account for our brain's unique wiring. It's kind of like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. It's frustrating and often pretty futile. And this constant pressure to conform can lead to a deep-seated feeling of inadequacy within us. We can start to internalize this idea that there's something fundamentally wrong with us. And it's not just about failing to meet specific goals, it's about feeling like we're failing as people. These feelings don't just stay in our heads, they spill over into every aspect of our lives, and especially into our romantic relationships. When we carry around this constant sense of not being good enough, it affects how we interact with our partners. So as an example, constantly forgetting important dates or struggling to keep up with household chores like ADHDers do, right? Your partner can get frustrated and you might start to feel like you're letting the side down. And over time, this can create a cycle of resentment and self-doubt that's really hard to break. And this is where the concept of what we call microtraumas can come into play. And these are small, seemingly insignificant events that when repeated over time can have a real profound impact on our self-esteem. Maybe it's the look of disappointment from your partner's face when you forget an anniversary, or the sigh of exasperation when you lose your keys for the 100th time. Each of these moments seem minor, but they add up. And these reinforce negative beliefs about ourselves. And these microtraumas often stem from childhood experiences. Perhaps you got teased for being forgetful or criticized for not sitting still in class. These experiences create powerful emotional memories that shape our perception well into adulthood. And the result is that we start to believe that we're inherently flawed, unworthy of love, or incapable of maintaining healthy relationships. You know, we might become overly apologetic, or constantly seeking validation from our partner, or even sabotaging our relationships before they have a chance to develop. But it's important to understand that this insecurity is learned. You know, a lot of members ask me, how do I learn to be confident? How do I learn self-esteem? But the truth is that you don't learn self-esteem. Self-esteem is the default. We are born confident. If you think about it, as a baby, we just do whatever we want. We go wherever we want. We do whatever we want. We are confident. We have no idea of the dangers in the world. The truth is that self-esteem is the default. Low self-esteem is what we learn. So we don't learn to be confident. We need to unlearn low self-esteem. So as these microtraumas build up within ourselves, they start to create a negative self-image. This self-image didn't exist before. So it's important to understand that this ADHD did not create this negative self-image. We've simply inherited negative beliefs that we've internalized, but they're not facts. They're learned responses to a world that often doesn't understand or accommodate neurodiversity or different wiring in our brain. So recognizing this is the first step towards rebuilding your self-esteem. And just before I jump in and explain more about this, if you do want more videos on relationships, then feel free to subscribe to my channel for new videos every single week. The impact of negative self-esteem on relationships can leave us as ADHDers jealous, insecure, needy within our interactions with our partner. Because of this buildup in microtraumas and this learned response that we've developed, this can lead us to have some negative self-thoughts, to need a lot of validation, and to have a very low self-esteem. But because it's learned, this means that we can unlearn it, right? So the good news is that there are powerful tools at our disposal. And with the right approach, we can transform our self-perception and our relationships as a result of that. So one of the most effective tools in our arsenal is cognitive behavioral therapy. This form of therapy helps us to identify and reframe these micro-traumas that have shaped our negative beliefs about ourselves. It's kind of like putting on a pair of glasses that allows us to see our past and present experiences in a different light. But it's not just about understanding these experiences intellectually, we need to process them emotionally too. This might feel uncomfortable at first, but this deep emotional processing is crucial. This is kind of like cleaning up a wound. It might hurt in the moment, but it's necessary for healing. And as we work through these emotions, we start to lessen the power of those negative beliefs. We begin to see that these thoughts telling us that we're not good enough or that we'll never succeed in relationships, they're not facts. They're just echoes of these past microtraumas. So one really powerful technique that we can start using right away is the pause and reflect method. So whenever you notice a negative thought popping up, pause for a moment. This can be hard with ADHD, but this is an important practice to get into a good habit of. So pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, is this thought based on the current reality, or is it based on an old belief from past experiences. And this very, very simple act of pausing and questioning can create the space, create a gap between you and your thoughts, allowing you to choose how to respond rather than reacting automatically. And as we start to unlearn these, the result of this is that we have improved self-esteem that has the impact on our relationships. We start to learn that when our partner is criticizing us, they're doing it for the sake of the relationship. We stop taking things personally from our partner. The emotional discords within the relationship start to smooth out. You're more able to communicate your needs clearly, and you become a lot more secure in your self-worth as a partner. So for example, let's say you used to get defensive when your partner pointed out a forgotten task. Now with a stronger sense of self, you're able to acknowledge the oversight without feeling like it defines you. You can say, you're right. I did forget. Thanks for reminding me. I'm kind of trying to work on improving my organizational skills right now. This kind of response can dramatically reduce the conflict and foster a much more supportive relationship dynamic. But the benefits don't stop at your romantic life. This ripple effect of improved self-esteem touches every area of your life. At work, you might find yourself more willing to take on challenges or speak up in meetings. In social situations, you could feel more comfortable being yourself, leading to deeper, more authentic connections. Low self-esteem is kind of like looking at yourself through a funhouse mirror. You kind of see yourself in a distorted way. So unlearning these low self-esteem habits, you can finally start to smooth out that mirror and see yourself a lot more clearly. This builds up your self-image and you can start to enjoy what you see, right? So neurotypical standards can undermine our confidence. These microtraumas build up and chip away at our established self-esteem. And being able to learn and build these skills of building your self-esteem obviously has a massive impact on your relationships. And obviously rebuilding self-esteem is only part of the relationship skills that we need, right? I can't dive into all of this in one YouTube video. So if you do want a deeper dive, then join me on my free relationship bootcamp, where you'll learn the tools and skills that all of my successful members have used to rebuild themselves a thriving relationship. Click on the link in the description to reserve your place today. But of course, this journey isn't without its challenges. As you work on rebuilding your self-esteem, you might encounter some roadblocks. Old negative thoughts might resurface, or you might have setbacks that temporarily shake your confidence. But this is normal, and this is part of the process. The key is to approach these challenges with self-compassion and persistence. Remember that you're undoing years of negative conditioning. It's not going to happen overnight. So whenever you encounter a challenge, whether it's within yourself or your relationship, treat it as a learning opportunity rather than a failure. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I approach this differently next time? What can I use from this in order to grow myself? And this is the thing with ADHD, is that we will always struggle with organization, with prioritization. There are many opportunities for us to fail, but it doesn't mean that it needs to have an impact on our self-esteem. We can still have self-worth while still also failing. I fail every single day of my life. This is one of the things that I learn how to deal with. Failures are only failures if you stop trying. We need to be persistent. But the good thing is that because we know that this is a challenge, we can become laser focused on learning to overcome the solution. And oftentimes this means that we will end up in a better position than most people. Some ADHDers that I work with are now more organized than neurotypical people. Because it's been such a struggle for them, they hyper focus on it and they raise the standards to such a level that it's actually beyond a neurotypical standard. So these challenges can be real opportunities for growth. But also to grow this self-esteem, it's important to celebrate your progress, whether it's small or big. So did you have a successful conversation with your partner? Great. Did you have a calm discussion with your partner about something that is a sensitive topic? That's great. That's a win. Did you manage to focus and validate your partner conversation? That's a win. These small victories add up over time, and this reinforces your future self that you're growing towards. And of course, for ADHD, it's not just about low self-esteem. We can also struggle to open up and to be vulnerable with our partner. But it's really crucial to learn how to do this and to develop the skill to do this so that we can build and deepen that connection with our partner. So if you do want a deeper dive into how to open up and be vulnerable with a partner, then I'll leave you with this video right here. I'll see you over there.